is in my heart. Remembrance.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen wa Khataman Nabiyyin Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. All praise and glory belongs exclusively to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most merciful, the most beneficent. And we send endless salutations, greetings, and love upon the best of creation, the master of mankind, Muhammad Mustafa Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Respected elders, beloved youngsters, family and friends, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon each and every one of you. What's going on, everyone? It's 5 p.m. It's drive time. That means you're stuck with me for the next hour here on Ramadan Radio 87.7 FM. How's your Friday going? It's Good Friday. And of course, if you're a Muslim, every Friday is Good Friday. The sun is out. We're almost halfway through Ramadan and it is a long weekend. And I am here for all of that. Trust me, I needed that lie-in this morning and I'm feeling fresh and full of energy. And hopefully we're going to have a really interesting program. So before we introduce today's guests and today's topic, I'm going to give you a recap of the numbers that you need to know if you want to get involved in today's program. And believe me, I think you'll want to have your say as we talk to our guests this afternoon. So the number to call the studio is 0116 482 2086. If you didn't already know, and the number for the WhatsApp is 077 488 55055. It is Friday, the 15th of April. It's just gone 5 p.m. It's the 14th/13th of Ramadan, depending on when you started. And the sun is out, and I'm feeling good, and it's a weekend. So let's do this, folks. So before I introduce the guests, I just want to remind our listeners that Ramadan Radio 87.7 FM is doing its bit to fundraise for Leicester Hospital's charity. The Children's Hospital are raising money to buy Eid gifts for all the youngsters who will unfortunately and sadly be spending Eid day in the hospital. So my youngsters, my brothers and sisters, if you've got a few pounds that you would like to donate to them, please do. And put a smile on these young children's face. Remember, they're your brothers and sisters as well. And for whatever reason, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not allowed them or not enabled them to be spending Eid at home this year with their families. So let's do our bit and put a smile on their face by giving them some money so they can have some Eid presents in the hospital as well. So check out www.justgiving.com/fundraising/Ramadan-radio. Right, that's all done. Time to introduce our guest today. So it's time for everyone to get on their bikes because joining me in the studio this afternoon, I am delighted and absolutely honored to say we have the Ride On Sisters. I have in the studio with me Sisters Maryam and Sister Saira, and joining me online on Zoom, I've got Sister Susan and Sister Arifa. Assalamu alaikum, sisters. We'll start with you, Maryam.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Really excited to have you here and learn more about what you guys do. So for our listeners, Ride On Sisters are a group that provide women with the opportunity to take up cycling, to learn how to ride a bicycle through the provision of qualified cycle trainers, ride leaders and bicycles. You help to support kind of new cyclists and those who are returning, getting on their bike. You know what they say? You never forget how to ride a bike, apparently. And you sort of allow them to sort of empower them with confidence so they can feel comfortable and indulge in their pastime of learning how to ride a bike. Is that right?
That's right, yeah, absolutely.
Great stuff. Right, so first question, I suppose, is how and why did this all start?
Okay, so it just goes back to basically why I first got back into cycling. And that was back in 2010.
Okay.
So there's a bit of a story there where when I, got out on my bike and I didn't see women like myself, and I live in Highfield, so you didn't see anyone like riding.
Muslim sisters especially, yes.
Yeah, and Muslims, but also any other. I never saw any women on bikes like where I was anyway. So when I did start out, I was thinking I'm just getting stared at. So a couple of times I went and I said, no, I ain't doing this. And my husband said, right, no, you get out there, you're doing a good thing. Because I started taking my daughter out.
Right.
And the thing with that is that she was on the PlayStation and...
not active.
And no.
We all know what that's like. I've got teenage kids too, so I hear that.
Yeah, part of that was also, I was unwell at the time. So I was advised not to do any high-packed activity. And I was quite an active person. So that had to stop. And I thought, well, what's the next thing? Well, it'd be like, if I get a bike, she's already got one. If I get myself one, we could just explore the local area. And that's where it started. But it was just the stairs. I just think it was like making me feel really uncomfortable. And I know it's because I was wearing a hijab. And then, so I just cut that bit short. So that's where it started from. And I ended up becoming a cycling instructor. There's a story to that. And then, so I started leading my own cycling projects. And that was in partnership with Community Cycles, which is in town. And so Dwight would provide the bikes and I'll do the training. So we used to run sessions at Crown Hills mainly, and we've done a few at Spinney Hill. And the biggest one was Moat, because Leicester University, there was a project that were doing research into Muslim women's physical activity. So we did a really big one at Moat, and that attracted so many women. I mean, I was really attracting, lots of women, but that was a really big one. And by that time, I had a WhatsApp group with all these contacts. So something needed to be done with all those contacts, because, I was just putting, projects on for those in the group. Like, okay, right, we've got a project on, who's interested, and they'd sign up. And then during the pandemic, obviously, everything just calmed down, and you know how it's been, where we've been encouraged. We were just resorted, just going to our local park. Leicester was we were locked down the longest. And me and my husband, Spinney Hill, we never used to go to Spinney Hill much, but that became our,
the go-to place.
And then you started seeing more, women on bikes in Spinney Hill, and even riding with the kids, and it was such a nice feeling. But by that time anyway, we already had this vision for this group. And Susan was she was doing a world cycle tour at the time, and I'd been messaging her saying, look, I'm coming up with all these names for our group, what do you think? And I've also got other Muslim sisters, because I network with those around other parts of the UK. And I said, well, what do you think? I've got this other name. What about Samosa Saddles or Pagoda Pedals or something? So we're coming up with really funny names. We're having a good laugh. I won't mention some of the other ones that I said. And one of the other things was that, what about Sisters on Bikes? I said, well, that would be SOB, because some people, ride on...
SOB, right.
Ride on Sisters, when you abbreviate it, it's like Riders of Shami's Roz. So I was trying to avoid that at the same time, but that's what stuck with me, Ride on Sisters, because it's motivational, it's encouragement.
It's an empowering message, most certainly.
So when Susan said to me, that sounds, we both came up with that, that sounds like, that's a really good name. So we just went with that last year.
I think it's great, and I really like the way you spelt Sisters, Sista, so that's good.
That was Susan's idea.
That was Susan. So Susan, I'm going to try and come around to all of you, so bear with me. Susan, if I can come to you next, please. Tell us a bit about this World Cycle Tour.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So, because Maryam was saying, she texted me whilst I was in Thailand, with all these different names.
You were in Thailand with your bike, yes?
Yeah, it was really funny. But I went cycling around the world for about 2.5 years. So I got back just before lockdown 2 years ago, and so I went to, I think, 15 or 16 different countries with my bicycle, eating lots of food, cycling a lot, and meeting a lot of people and learning a lot about different cultures.
So you just decided to just say, you know what, I'm going to go cycle around the world. Forget the park, forget the city. I'm just going to go around the world.
Why not? I mean, it was suggested by a friend as well. So I mean, Maryam's story, where she got back into cycling about 10 years ago. I suppose, I got back into cycling about 10 years ago myself. And I was cycling with other clubs. And then, as Maryam was saying, she became a ride leader. She became a breeze champion. And so, she put the first breeze ride on in Leicester, and I turned up to it. And Maryam's like, do you want to be a breeze champ? And I was like, no, why would I do that? So Breeze Champs is a British cycling initiative to get more women cycling. So we train as ride leaders and we volunteer our time to put rides on or so. And so Maryam was trying to persuade me to do it, and I was like, no, why would I do that? But I did actually become a Breeze Champ, and I suppose it's one thing leads on to another. So then a whole group of us, women, another friend who was a breeze champion, and I organised cycle touring trips across France. So from Bordeaux to Narbonne. I think the first year we had 27 women cycling and camping across France. And over time we've done coast to coast and cycling around the UK as well. And so that just gradually built up over a period of time where I started touring more with my bike. And then then one day, one of my friends said to me, "Why don't you go cycle touring?" And I was like, "Whoa, but what about my cat and my mum also?" So and I did meet home my cat, and obviously my mum's okay and fine also. And so it took me about 2 years of planning, and so it was back in 2015 that I told everybody I'm going to cycle around the world, because I had to tell everybody I was going to do it, because if I didn't tell everybody, then I'd chicken out. And it actually took me about 2 years to prepare, and then I left the 5th of June 2017 and landed in Vancouver in Canada and started my journey, visiting different places and going to places that I didn't think that I would ever go to, and just learning a lot and discovering a lot as well with my bike.
Great stuff. Thank you so much, Susan. Right. Brilliant. I mean, I think you go around the world. There's a podcast in there somewhere, no doubt. But I'd like to come to Sister Saira now. So tell us about your involvement with the group.
So when Maryam started doing the one at Moat Community College, I relearned how to ride my bike then. And since that...
You'd forgotten?
I'd forgotten.
Oh, wow.
Over the years of not being on a cycle since the age of 10, I'd forgotten how to ride a bike. And it did take me a few weeks, but I got back on there and never looked back.
Yeah. And
I've followed through with Maryam and Susan, and I've been going on to become a breeze champ as well. Okay,
so you're all like big advocates and sort of ambassadors for cycling. How about you, Sister Arifa? Tell us about why you got involved.
So I got in touch with Maryam and Susan in November last year. I couldn't ride a bike at all. I've never learned how to ride a bike. I tried to learn before in the past. My dad had taken me to the local park and just said, you just get on it and you just pedal. That technique didn't really work for me. So I never really learned how to ride a bike, but I've always wanted to. My friends all ride bikes, and I've always found them quite inspiring, because there'll be usually one or two of the handful of hijabis that go on cycle marathons in London, and I kind of cheer them on from the sideline with my sisters who also don't know how to ride a bike. But I've always found them really inspiring to see, kind of representing us on these cycle rides. And I've always just wanted to learn, because it's a great sport, as it's easy on the knees, it's a non-weight bearing exercise, and it's something that you can do for forever, really, because as I said, it's a low impact exercise on the knees. So I did 3 sessions with them in November and December, and by my 3rd session I could confidently ride my own bike. I had actually bought my own bike a year before that. During the pandemic, I thought I'm going to use the pandemic, because I was going to my local park at Victoria Park, going there for walks, and I thought this is a great opportunity to learn how to ride a bike. I used it. I kept the bike in the garden for about a year, didn't use it at all. And for my 3rd session, Dwight, who works with Ride On Sisters, actually took my bike, fixed it up because it got a puncture and it wasn't working on the first day that I took it. And by the 3rd session, I could actually ride my own bike, having had it for a year. And then if that wasn't enough for me, that was a great achievement to achieve through Ride On Sisters with Maryam and Susan. I actually took my mum just at the start of March for her first ever session with Ride On Sisters. My mum is 52 years old. She has never sat on a bike before.
Mashallah.
So to get her on a bike and take her to 3 sessions with Ride On Sisters, she didn't quite get both feet off the ground, but just getting her to sit on a bike and spend an hour on a bike trying to learn was an incredible achievement for her and myself. And we got obviously matching mother and daughter photos, thanks to Maryam and Susan.
Brilliant. Absolutely amazing. I mean, really inspiring stuff. So we've had a text come in from a brother who said, my wife has forgotten how to ride a bike. So Sister Faz, if you're listening, here's the motivation. You've got no reason now not to relearn how to ride a bike or get motivated. So, I mean, I'm just on your website right now, and you guys seem to be doing so much. I mean, is this a full-time thing, or is there a day job?
No, for me, this is my 2nd job.
It's your 2nd job. So what's the day job?
My day job is at the Leicester Diabetes Centre.
Oh, wow. Okay, so the benefits of cycling and what you do, you can sort of, they correlate quite easily. Yeah. So we're getting some more texts coming in. Brother Irfhan, so pleased to hear Ride On Sisters. Maryam is amazing, as are all the other awesome team. So you guys got some big fans out there already, which is great to hear. So keep the texts coming in. I want to talk about this sort of, one of the main aims of the group is to build confidence within our Muslim sisters around that. Do you think there is still work to be done around breaking down some of the cultural mindsets, or are there any barriers within the South Asian community to seeing, our young ladies riding bikes?
See, I think it's not just a Muslim issue.
Mm-hmm.
So
is it a female issue?
Yeah, when I first started delivering projects, I was thinking at the time it was just a Muslim-specific issue. I've had Sikh women, Hindu women, women from the black community say the same thing, that when they get to a certain age, people's perceptions of how they should behave in society change as well. Like people have said.
So it's not ladylike to ride a bike once they reach a certain age.
And it's not everyone, but you do come across women that say that the family member says, well, look at your age, why do you want to get on a bike?
Oh, okay.
That kind of thing. It's that kind of thing. I had heard a lot of that in the beginning, even like from there's one sister that I met, and she said, oh, I'd love to do that, but my husband said, no, because your backside's going to be on show. And I said, well, no, it depends how you can wear long tops. You don't have to have your backside on show, kind of thing. Sorry if I'm being a bit explicit.
No. This is exactly why we need to.
So it can be modest and be active at the same time.
Exactly, and I think that's a big thing.
And this is the thing. So I'd like to say, one of our ride leaders, Tahira, she wears her abaya and she cycles, and she's our ride leader. And she can't be here today, but one of the messages I want to get across is that you can wear what you like when you're cycling, as long as it doesn't compromise your safety, like your bike getting, caught in your chain. So we provide advice on things like that, on like what sort of bike to get, and like with chain guards for a bike, you can get, in those that do ride with bikes, they've got so much advice to offer to the rest of the group, because obviously they're riding and they're experiencing it. So the group is great, because it's not me and Susan, we've actually behind the project and taking the lead. But the actual participants of the project, they're amazing. They've got so much advice to offer each other. And I think this is the sisterhood of Ride On Sisters. It's for all women, not Muslim specific.
So it's just it's a bringing women together.
And the support network is amazing. The way women just bond and offer that advice to each other, and they cheer each other on.
That's really interesting, because
it's like a sisterhood. Really
it is,
nice.
So let me come to you, Sister Saira. Tell me what is it about cycling that I suppose makes you feel the way you do ahead of something like, say, running or other sports?
As well as trying other sports, I find that with cycling, you can get from A to B a lot quicker. It's free. You enjoy the good outdoors. It's great for your mental health and your well-being and your emotional well-being. Since I started riding, a year later, all the kids have got bikes. They all became riders. You become an inspiration for everyone else around you, and you can do fun things with your kids. Whether you're not you're a mother, you can still go. And I think it's like the things in your head. If you just say, I can do this, and you take the step and you take the plunge and you do it, everything else just follows. And then you realize that you're not the only one on the same journey. So many people on that same journey as you.
Great stuff. So it's all about mindset. And we had Green Guardians yesterday talking about sustainability. So again, there's a big environmental message around taking up cycling. Sister Arifa, obviously you you come to the cycling game a bit later on in life. But how does it feel? How has it changed how you feel or how you think? Or again, what is it that you get out of cycling that nothing else seems to sort of hit the spot?
I think it's always just something that I've wanted to learn. So cycling, swimming. I'm not even a super sporty person at all, actually. But it's just a skill that I've admired, that I think everybody should have. Everybody should have the ability to go to the local park and go and ride a bike. How has it changed? I mean, at the moment, I'm still learning, to be honest. I'm still kind of learning how to signal and things. I guess the goal in the future would be to try and get on the road, but I don't see that happening anytime soon until I've built my confidence. Sure. And that's why I love about Ride On Sisters. They do the confidence building rides as well. And it's just, I have to emphasize that sisterhood feeling, because it's a real safe environment. And the reason why I confidently took my mum to the sessions is because I knew she wouldn't feel self-conscious at all about being in a hijab, or the way she dressed, or, she's a bit overweight, because you turn up, everybody, fitness comes in all shapes and sizes, and cycling, I think, is something that I wanted to get into, because I've mentioned this before, and it's because it is a non-weight bearing exercise where you can continue it even if you are kind of having problems with pains in hips and joints, which everybody gets as they get older.
Oh yes, I know all about that.
it's fantastic for your health, and it's something. It's not a sport that you have to quickly give up because you've got aches and pains in your hips and in your knees. So that's why I think it's something that everybody should get into, and obviously the added bonus of being environmentally friendly and etc. There's nothing you can go wrong that can go wrong with it if you're safe about it.
Okay, brilliant stuff. That's everything you said. I agree, and trust me, my hips and joints are now beginning to ache at the age I'm getting. So, but Susan, I'd like to ask you something about. So now we're slowly emerging out of the pandemic. Hopefully, not just here but in other parts of the world as well. But during the height of lockdown and during the height of the crisis, everyone seemed to turn towards cycling. I mean, I remember trying to buy a bicycle for myself and I could not find anything for love nor money. They were like gold dust. I mean, what do you think the appeal is about cycling that so many people thought, okay, you know what, forget everything else. This is what we want to do.
I think it's fun, it's sociable, and for me personally, you can get a far distance, you can see a lot more in a shorter space of time. So maybe because I've got a shorter attention span, but I find walking or hiking difficult because although it is beautiful, it's the same view for a long time. Whereas with a bike, it's you can go a lot further, see a lot more, and I think especially like a city like Leicester, for example, where it doesn't take you that long to get from A to B. So I live in the south of Leicester, but it wouldn't actually take me that long to get from where I am out to somewhere like Bradgate Park or to get into some greenery and countryside as well. So I think it just gets you out a lot more. But yes, as you were saying, during the pandemic, bikes were really, really hard to find, but also it was lovely to see so many people on their bicycles trying it again, and also for me, because I learned to ride as a child, so whenever I get on a bike I just feel like a 5-year-old just like whizzing around on the weekend or so what's not to love about a bike?
It's great because there is a sort of a childlike element to riding a bike, isn't it? Because everyone remembers it's a very vivid childhood memory when you first learn how to ride a bike, or when the stabilizers come off. It's a significant achievement in somebody's in youth. Folks, right, listen, the texts have gone dry, so if you've got a question for our Ride On Sisters, drop us a text on 077 488 55055. Really fascinating and insightful commentary here from the Ride On Sisters. And if you are looking to get on your bike, if you pardon the pun, this is the perfect opportunity to get in touch with Maryam and her crew as part of the Ride On Sisters. So if there is a sister out there listening, let's say, for example, and they really want to get into the bike, how do you support them on sort of taking that first pedal rather than that first step? What can the Ride On Sisters group provide them to help them start their cycling journeys?
Right. So we provide bicycles, and we have our own helmets as well. So what we reassure them that we're not just going to put them on a bike and say right pedal, because there's a technique that we use. Mm-hmm. So we either can remove the pedals or we'll tap them in, because we have like folding pedals, and we keep the seat really low, and get them to just focus on balance. So actually before they even get on a bike, we just get them to walk with it and get a feel of what the brakes
understand what the bike is,
and get them focusing on looking ahead, because when you look down, you don't realise that affects your balance. So it's all about being relaxed, keeping your shoulders down, looking ahead. And once you've done that, I mean, I know it's something that you do with kids, but that would help them once they actually get on a bike. And the other thing is getting on and off. So in all the people that we've trained, we haven't had anyone who's had like an accident or anything, but most people tend to fall off just getting on and off a bike.
Yeah.
And
that puts them off probably, yes?
Yeah, they just need to be holding their brakes and lean the bikes, get on, take your time getting on and off. So if you're not holding your brakes, the bike's going to move, it's going to roll, then then the bike's going to fall, you're going to fall on top of it, or the bike's going to be on top of you. So it's things like that. But once they've actually sat on a bike, and we just get them to focus, looking ahead, keeping the legs apart, just walking with it, and then by the third week, you can see the difference. Even by the second, third week, you can see how relaxed they are.
It took me 3 weeks. I remember, Maria.
It's when they get relaxed. That's when they're ready. That's when it helps with their scooting, and then they're ready to pedal. So it's it's building a relationship with the bike and taking control of the bike and not letting the bike control you. Is getting to that.
Okay.
And everybody's at different paces. So we've had people that have learned to ride in 10 minutes, half an hour, people who've never been on a bike before. And for others, it may take a bit longer. It may take a few sessions or even a bit longer than that.
Yeah.
But what's important is that we work with the person and the person not like beat themselves up, oh, I can't do this. We remind them, you can do this, you can achieve this. You just got to stick with it and enjoy it. Keep smiling. So what I keep every time I'm on the bike, I say, keep smiling. Don't forget to smile because, you know, you don't want to be there like, oh, you know, like,
scared.
this is like, you know, it's a chore. I really need to do this. But you're beating yourself up about it because that's just, you know,
it takes the fun out of it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
So, Sister Saira, let's talk a bit about sort of the actual group itself. So how often do you guys meet?
We usually have like every few weeks. We have like because I work a daytime job, I can't do Monday to Friday. So I usually go to the rides on Saturdays. So yeah.
So every Saturday there's a ride or a meet, is there?
Not so much. I think every 2 to 3 weeks.
So what we do is when we have funding, so our rides and our training is dependent on funding right now. So when we get the funding, that's when we can put those sessions on. We can put the rides on voluntarily, but we leave that to our ride leaders. If they want to put a ride on, myself and Susan will just go along and support them.
Okay, so Susan, I'd like to come to you now, please. Tell me, what is the vision or the ultimate aim for the Ride On Sisters?
Oh, I think the vision, the ultimate aim is to get all women cycling. That's the ultimate aim. I
dream.
suppose if you're, and then as well the whole world cycling. But you know that's but no. To have a group, I suppose just to get more women in Leicester, for example, on bicycles overall and enjoying cycling, because I think, having heard stories where women have said they've always wanted to cycle, they'll go to maybe like Rutland Reservoir and the husband and the kids will go off cycling and they'll be sat there waiting for them to come back. And I suppose that's one of the aims, to get the whole family out cycling, really, or women just cycling in groups, people maybe commuting more to work, etc., or just cycling out leisurely on a leisure ride on their own or with others, just enjoying it. And I suppose with that, there's so many benefits, where there's the health benefits, both mental and physical health benefits of getting outside and using pedal power.
Okay, this is Ramadan Radio 87.7 FM, broadcasting live from Evington Road, the heart of Leicester City, and we are here with the Ride On Sisters in conversation, talking about everything that's good on two wheels and beyond. Come back to you now, Sister Maryam. Let's talk a bit about sort of cultural perceptions around cycling and maybe some of the things that, you know, sisters and women have shared with you guys privately around what's putting them off. I mean, what more can be done to get women and young ladies onto their bikes?
I think it's number one is provision, having a safe space that they can actually train and learn. And we found that a lot when we put sessions on at Moat, because it was a bit enclosed, they felt quite comfortable. Spinney Hill was a bit exposed, so some of them were a bit like, you know, worried. But I think that ends up, the fear, the initial fear is there and the self-consciousness is there to start off with. But what I've noticed is once they're in a group and they've met the other women and they're seeing that they're doing it's like it empowers them.
Gives them permission,
almost. And that confidence kind of kicks off there, where they feel, I really want to do this. And we've had that. We've had that where, you know, they've been shy, and then once they see the others, it's like, within 2 weeks, it's like, no, it's fine, I'm okay. And I think that's what it is. It's like the acceptance. And I think the more people do it, because there's more women cycling, especially like youngsters, like with my friends' daughters, when they learnt to ride, and they started cycling to uni, and some of them, like, they cycle, use it as transport now. So they've kind of, it's like been like a bit of a snowball effect, where they've motivated, they've inspired their friends, so their friends have got bikes. They've actually formed they've got their own little groups. So they go back to the countryside, Leicestershire countryside, they'll have a picnic and stuff, and you know, it's things like that. So even though we're doing the training and we're doing the bike rides, one of the aims, what we're doing is that the women buddy up. Because everyone lives, you know, here, like Evington or Knighton or St Matthews. You've got, you know, there's Hamilton. There's, you know, so it's like budding women, you know, people up to the areas which they are, so they can actually get out and go together. Or some of us are working. We're not going to be out all the time. So it's like, if that's what the groups are, the WhatsApp groups. Anyone free today? I'm going for a cycle ride. Oh yeah, okay, I'm free. I'll meet here. So it's things like that. But then it's also going back to communities as well. I don't. You do hear negative things from, you know, how people may perceive them. But I think maybe less.
What kind of things do you hear when you say that?
I think it's to do with the dress. Oh, like somebody said, I'll give you a typical example. So there's a lady in Highfields. I'm not going to mention the name. She was in her 60s. She had a abaya and niqab, and she was coming along to the sessions, and she loved it because she cycled in South Africa, and said since she came to the UK, she's never been on a bike. So she was coming to the sessions, and she hadn't told her husband. She just was worried about what her husband was going to say.
Fear of judgment, was it?
But what she was doing after the session, she was walking home with a helmet on her head.
Classic.
So when she walked out, I said, "Where do you think you're going?" She goes, "Your husband's going to know what you're up to now." But she said that she bought a bike. She bought a bike from Community Cycles, but she didn't take it home. She left it in the alleyway of the property.
Because she was a bit worried about what people might think.
And then she'd get out after Fajr and go to Spinney Hill and start riding. And this is a woman in her 60s. She'd be riding around in Spinney Hill. And she'd go back and then she said about a couple of months later, her husband said to her, "Is that your bike in the alleyway?" So he knew that she'd been... But he didn't say anything. He was, you know, he smiled and he was happy.
Oh, that's
but
so
it's
lovely.
It's like what
courage,
what are people going to say? And because I live in Highfields, I said, like, okay, look, I'll take you out, you know. So I've took her out on the roads, and then you get these. The problem with our community is that they hoot and, you know, move out of the way kind of thing. But I, you know, being a cycle trainer myself, you know, I had to protect her, so I stayed out while she cycled, enjoyed being on the road, and these. You know, BB move out the base, and I just put my hand up and just wave. And then they calm down.
That's so rude.
But at the same time, because I cycle quite a bit, and I've not really had anything said to me, and people are generally nice. Apart from you get close to the junction and they see you coming and they just pull out. That's common when you're driving as well. But it's things like that, you know, especially when you get to a certain age, that you shouldn't be doing that. You'll be the laugh of the community, that kind of thing.
Forget the community. That's what I say.
But But I see what I came from. My background is I didn't grow up in a Muslim family, and my granddad he never did sports, but he made all his grandchildren do sports and, you know, in anything. So we were in the 70s, you can give my age, where so in the 70s, I'm in my 50s, right? So ladies, whoever's listening.
Mashallah, you look very well for it, I have to say.
I'm in my 50s, and people say, you know, "Oh, Maryam, we won't believe you're in your 50s. Yeah, well, maybe it's cycling, maybe I got some good, alhamdulillah. But my granddad really encouraged all the kids, his own, and my uncles and aunts aren't much older than me. And he got us doing a lot of sporting activities, regardless of gender. And I think for me, that's where that comes from. So I never
that's really important. I think
never really grew up with barriers like that.
That's a very powerful thing.
I became my own barrier because I believed that
it wasn't for you.
It wasn't. I taught my kids how to ride. I should jump on their bikes at any opportunity. But when I became Muslim, I sort of like put that barrier on myself that this isn't acceptable. But I know how it's benefited me. And when I started cycling, my husband started getting out with me. So we started going to the Leicestershire countryside, except he'd zoom off. And then I'd be in a bad mood, but he zoomed off. And then I'd be sulking on one side of the road and him on the other side, and I didn't eat my sandwiches. So I prefer cycling with my female company.
Excellent.
There's one thing I want to say.
Go on, Sarah.
When I cycled with Susan, she's always said to me, if someone who ignore them, you have the right on the road just as much as they have a right on the road.
That's true, though.
Yes.
And that has really changed my mindset now. So I'm on the road. If you see me on the road with a helmet,
you got to get past me. But listen, I mean, the great thing about the pandemic, we've seen an emergence of cycle lanes all over the city, which is encouraging people to get out and be more safe on the roads, because, you know, Evington Road it's chock full of cars night and day. So I think that's a really good initiative. Arif, I'd like to come to you and ask, what was the reaction of your family or friends or people when they found out about your newfound love of cycling?
They were super supportive and actually really proud that I'd managed to somehow learn at my age to cycle. And I mentioned I took my mum out to cycle, to learn how to cycle, and now I've just posted on our WhatsApp group asking for a cycle for my nephew who's 4 years old because I really want him to get into it. And then his mum, my sister, can't cycle, so she's just like, well, if you can learn, and I'm only 2 years older than you, I can learn as well.
Exactly.
So she's hoping to take up sessions with Ride On Sisters. So I've had nothing but encouragement and people saying they're super proud of me to learn how to cycle. So it's all been very, very positive. And I have to say, I've not been subjected to kind of the negative comments or anything like that at all. I guess I'm in a very privileged position without really realising it. But I have to say, the impact Ride On Sisters have had is probably they're never going to be given full credit for it because, like Maryam mentioned, it's like a snowball effect.
Sure.
I was the first to learn in my family. Now I've taken my mum. Now my sister will hopefully join if they get funding for their summer sessions on Saturday because she works Monday to Friday, hoping to get my nephew into it. It is a snowball effect, like she said, and actually the impact they have, what you see is probably far more actually what they've achieved for the community around us. And I guess I should also take this opportunity while I can and say just a very heartfelt thank you from all the sisters. You see the WhatsApp group full of excitement and so much awe and so much thanks and gratitude to Susan and Maryam for what they've done and what they've taught us. So thank you both so much for bringing cycling into our lives.
That's incredible. I mean, that just must be, like so wonderful because,
such an inspiration,
you're making a difference just through a simple thing like cycling.
And I have to say, they're so modest. Both Susan and Maryam are so modest.
They just talking to them today.
Susan, I think on session 3 told me she just casually cycled around the world for 2.5 years. And I was like, what? Surely that's something you say, first up when you're trying to be an instructor. And Maryam, I mean, until even today's radio show, I hadn't actually realised how many awards she'd won.
Okay, so tell us about some of the awards that she's won then, come on.
So modest. And, such good instructors as well, so supportive. So thank you so much, both of you.
Just give us a flavour of some of the awards that she's won, Arifa, because she's too modest to tell us.
Oh, I don't know the actual terms. I think Susan's
Maryam's really modest. So there was the BEDSA Awards, the British Ethnic Diversity Sports Awards, and she won Local Hero for that.
Come on, Local Hero, here we go.
Yeah, and then also there was an award that was given to her for volunteering by, at the time, David Cameron, because every day, somebody who has done a lot for their community, I think, is it a star or something like that? So she's like been given this, awarded a star by the Prime Minister at the time as well. She's also one of Cycling UK's 100 women in cycling as well. But also, yes, she was a cycling dove. The 2012 Olympics and the opening ceremony. She's really quiet about this, so it's good that I can say it all.
Mind blown.
Yes, in the Olympics, you've got the opening ceremony, and she was in the opening ceremony as one of the cycling doves as well. She keeps that quiet.
And if was it Ramadan as well during that time? Wow. Sorry, go on, carry on, Susan.
No, that's a few off the top of my head. There's some others, of course, that I've missed, but that's just a few off the top of my head.
So I am
I
officially in the company of greatness right now. Is that what you're saying, Susan? Yeah. Someone's at an Olympic level and does so much. Listen, no, honestly, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for everything that you're doing. I think it's really brilliant. And I think we need more initiatives, more groups like this to empower our young ladies. I mean, I have a 16-year-old daughter, and I hope she's listening, and I hope she can take something away from this. But I think it's absolutely fantastic. And I, again, encourage both my kids, son and daughter, to get on their bikes a couple of years ago, and they loved it, and they absolutely did. We're running out of time. We've got about 5.5 minutes left. So I'd like to give you the opportunity to kind of make a call to action to the sisters who are listening about how they can get in touch if they're thinking about getting on the saddle.
Susan?
Well, I suppose you'll find us on social media on Instagram and Facebook, and also we have a website. And it is a matter of Googling Ride On Sisters, and as Irfhan said, Sisters, which is spelled Sistas. And so if you Google us, you'll find us, and drop us an email or contact us via Instagram, and we'll head you in the right direction to signing up to our next set of Learn to Ride sessions and confidence building rides, which will be starting next month or so, and get you out on your bike, really.
Brilliant, brilliant. Maryam, what would you like to add to that?
Same as what Susan said. Just find us on social media and just get in touch, and we'll add you to the WhatsApp group. Hopefully we'll be having some more sessions soon. So it'd be nice to see some new faces.
Inshallah. So Sister Saira, do you know, or what's in the pipeline for Ride On Sisters? What's next as part of your growth development? Are you planning any events, any charitable things like what Riders of Sham do? Are you cycling anywhere to raise money?
Yeah, well, I've always said to the sisters that if they ever wanted to do something for charity, I'd be there to support. Myself and another friend, Yasmin, we did the 100 miles from Leicester to Skegness a few years ago, riding through Rohingya. We've done that. But I've said to the sisters, it's, at the moment, I think quite a lot of them will need some road training skills, because obviously you're doing charitable, but you can do short ones. They can do traffic-free charitable rides. So I think that's a start before you do something quite big, and But yeah, we're there to help.
I'll just say be brave.
Be brave. Just take that first step, isn't it? Yeah, that's usually the hardest part with anything, is actually getting started and making that first step. I know with me personally, going to the gym is a big thing. So once I go
You
there,
can get second-hand bikes. I mean, I remember my first bike I got was £20 from bike. But you can never go wrong.
And I think we always start off with like a heavy mountain bike, because that's what when you think of a bicycle, that's the one that you usually go for. But once you discover what kind of cycling you enjoy, then you can progress on to getting either a hybrid or a road bike. But at the moment, we don't want people to think about that. We just want them to pluck up the courage, come along, get in touch, And
even if you come to the sessions and just watch, and you'll be taken away. When you see what you see, you'll be like, wow, I want to be part of that.
Do you know what? I'm going to tell my wife now when I go back home and said, right, you need to do it, because she's been talking about riding a bike, and she's been a bit sort of nervous. So I'd like to encourage her to get in touch. So I would definitely be passing on this to her.
If I just start to add as well, one of our strengths is we're very good with nervous first-timers. That's what we're really good at.
We've all been in that position.
Yeah.
It's all part of.
But it seems like, it's just sort of really given an extra dimension to you as individuals, as people, and, what you do. And
I think we care about what we do, and we love it with a passion. And
that certainly has come across, by talking to all of you this afternoon. So long may it continue.
It's another skill, isn't it? You learn to drive, you learn to whatever.
I think it's seeing people, like when I go, after somebody's learnt to ride, I go home happy. And my husband always asks me, how many came? He also shares in that excitement, because when you see somebody smile, you see somebody happy, that has a positive effect on you.
Sure.
And you feel you're not praising yourself and thinking, oh, I did this. No, you're looking at that person has achieved that. That's their hard work. We're just there with the facilitators, but they're actually doing the hard work. It's them. But
you share in their joy when they achieve something.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah,
you made them take a step in
exactly
to changing their life the way they wanted to.
Exactly. Right, we're fast running out of time, so I'm going to give each of you 10 seconds to kind of say what you'd like to our listeners. I'll start with you, Sister Saira.
Come to Ride On Sister sessions. Yep. Get a bike, or use one of the bikes, and you'll never look back.
Fantastic.
You
Maryam,
can do it.
You can do it. Susan?
Just echoing what Saira said, look us up on Instagram, Facebook, on our website, contact us, and we will get you on a bike, cycling, enjoying the fresh air.
Okay, right. So, Arifa, last but not least.
Just sign up. Just do it. Sometimes you can overthink things. Just turn up. You don't need a bike. You don't need a helmet, because they'll provide that for you. And it is the most supportive, safe environment so far that I've come across to learn how to ride a bike.
Okay, well, you'll be glad to learn that whilst we've been on air, somebody has asked for your details. Wow. So that's great. So we've got another sister, inshallah, that will be joining you very, very soon. But listen, thank you so much for coming in this afternoon. It has been really enlightening and a pleasure speaking to you and learning more about what you do. I wish you all the best for the future. Inshallah, come again and visit us next year if we're on Radio Ramadan, and have a blessed remainder of the month. Susan, I don't know where you're going to go next on your bike, but I mean, you've traveled the world, so I don't know what's left. But thanks for joining us and the best of luck. So this has been Drive Time with me, your host, Irfhan. I'll be back again on Monday where my special guest will be Tahir Hajat, the Sky Sports presenter. So have a great bank holiday weekend and we'll speak to you soon.